Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, I'm competing with lunch, okay. Good afternoon, everyone. So on behalf of the entire team at the Houston airports, the mayor, and the entire workforce of the city of Houston, I'd like to say howdy and welcome. We're extremely pleased to be hosting this forum, and we sincerely thank you for attending, and we hope you are enjoying yourself here in Houston. So I know you guys are hungry and you're eating, but I'm going to ask you to listen to me for a sec. I have just 3 memories I'd like to share with you guys. When I just left college, there were 3 good friends that I had, and we decided we were going to be entrepreneurs. We decided that we were going to start a small business, right? And we called the company Quadra Corporation. Very creative, 4 of us, Quadra, for 4, right? And we decided we're going to get into several different businesses. And I have 3 I just want to share with you real quick. One of them, we decided that we were going to do smart cards. It was in the early 90s, and smart cards were on the cutting edge. We could develop or create these cards that we could embed a lot of information, bank information, personal information on these cards. And we got some small business, and then, we were very good at writing proposals, and we got a really large, what we considered a large contract. And we had to print about 5,000 smart cards in about 3 days to provide to this company. The problem, though, we only had one printer, and we were operating out of the back room of one of our friends' parents' house. That was the company location. And so we stayed up all night for about 3 nights, printing, sleeping, getting food, just to meet the deadline. It was really hard work. That was number 1. Number 2, we got into the distribution business. So we were actually sourcing and distributing safety shoe and disposable toilet seat covers. You might ask how the 2 come in, but we were college students, just out of college, and we were just trying to make some money. Wherever opportunity to knock, we were there. And so we got a few contracts to source safety shoes and disposable toilet seat covers. And one of the things we realized, we made some mistakes. We made some mistakes in calculating our profit margins, right? And so we'd be driving all over the place, delivering all these things, but we were not making money because we were burning a lot of time and expense and gases. And even though we were doing business, we weren't making money because we just miscalculated. I remember getting this major order for 2,000 pairs of safety shoes. And we went to our supplier, and the supplier said, I can source 500 for you. We're like, wow, how are we going to fill the other, 1,500? This can make or break our business. And so we left, and we flew up to Miami. And I remember walking into a Payless shoe store, and the representative came over and said, can I help you? And I said, yes, I need some safety shoes. And he said, what kind? I said, steel toe, black and brown leather. He said, how many? I said, I need 800 pairs. And he said, are you serious? And I'm like, yes, I'm serious. So he says, hold on one sec. And he went to the back and he got his manager. The manager came with and said, are you serious? And I'm like, yes. So the manager said, step to my office in the back. I didn't even know Payless had an office at the back. But we stepped to the office in the back, and this guy said, can you give me 48 hours? I said, no, you have 24. He started calling all over the place to source these shoes for us. He called every Payless everywhere in Florida. We met the deadline, and we actually delivered. But you know what? We didn't make any money. The costs associated with traveling back and forth and doing all of this, we barely broke even, made no money. So we made mistakes. The final memory I'd like to share with you, we started this internet service company, and we were providing high-speed internet access to individual homes and companies, and even dial-up at the time. Some of the younger folks here might not know what dial-up is, but it was something we used back in the days for internet access. And that company, I wasn't running that company, I just invested in it because by that time I decided I was going to get a job, right? So I was just an investor. But the company ran for about 4 years, and we had 4 employees, 2 technicians, the president and CEO, and a young lady. She was the receptionist, she was the accountant, she was the office manager, she did the invoices. It was a very small company. She did everything. And we ran that company for about 4 years. Didn't make any money, didn't get any return. Eventually, this multimillionaire came in, came into the business, wiped everybody out. We had to sell the business. And I remember about 2 years after, I saw the young lady at an event. And she was talking about the company, and I was like, man, that thing failed. And she said, no. She said, you may have gone out of business, but she said for 4 years while I was working with that company, I was a single mom, and I was able to pay my rent. I was able to pay for my kid to go to school. And when you guys were just starting up and I had to work late, I was able to pay for someone to take care of my son while I was here working. I was able to go to the supermarket, right, and buy stuff. I was able to pay some medical bills for 5 years. So to you, Lance, it was just a venture that failed. But to me, for those 5 years, that job was everything to her and the other 3 people that work with the company. And at the time, I didn't understand the whole direct job and indirect job and induced job, but that's exactly what it was. And the third thing I'd like to say is that I realized it was actually worth it, even though the business failed. So I share those 3 memories that I have being a small business entrepreneur, because I'm sure you guys have gone through it. One, it's extremely hard work. I remember staying up at night printing cards nonstop, just trying to meet the deadline. Make mistakes. We're always going to make mistakes. I remember making those mistakes. We miscalculated, the revenues, or rather the expenses. But the third and most important thing is that we realized it was worth it. It was a small business, and it was worth it. It was worth it because of the jobs that we created. It was 4 jobs. But as she explained to me, the lady explained to me, she also was paying somebody to take care of her son, right? So she was actually creating another job for somebody else, and that somebody else could pay some bills. And that's why I realized how important small businesses are. That's why I realized how important you guys are out there. And so, that's why the theme of this year's 19th Annual Airports Economic Opportunity Policy Forum is so relevant: fueling business opportunities. Small businesses have a big impact on the global economy. We often hear that small businesses are the engines of job creation in the United States. The value and the role you play in our economy is sometimes underestimated. However, the truth is there's nothing small about the impact that you have on the economy. According to Entrepreneur Magazine, there are between 25 and 27 million small businesses in the U.S. that account for 60 to 80% of all jobs in the USA. And a recent study by Paycheck says that small businesses produce 13 times more patents, British system or American system, than larger firms. So please know that you make a big difference in the world and our airports across the globe. Now, before I wrap up, I'd like to say to you guys, I know a lot of you are here for opportunities and you'd like to make some money as well, but we are the city. We would like to make some money as well. There's extremely good weather out there, and we're asking you guys to please take advantage of our fantastic weather. Please take time out to explore the city. Great museums, parks, restaurants, zoos, aquariums, space center. Please get out there and spend some money shopping at the gallery, etc. To all of you, thank you for being here. Welcome, and enjoy the rest of the luncheon.
Thank you, Mr. Little. I'm very pleased now to introduce a member of the Houston City Council, Member Jerry Davis from District B. And speaking of good restaurants, his family owns the Breakfast Club. And if you haven't made it out there yet, put it on your to-do list.
Good day, everyone. My name is Jerry Davis. I am the City Council member for District B, where the Intercontinental Airport resides, or is located. It's a pleasure to be here. And as I look at all of the sponsors, HNTB, CBIC, Houston Airport Systems, I just want to thank everyone for making this day happen, making this moment possible for people with the opportunity. I've been on council for 11 months now, and that's one of the things that my district encourages me to do: seek opportunities for them, opportunities for their small businesses, the women with their businesses. That's what they need. They need a chance. They need an opportunity. And with people like you that's sitting in this room today, making a connection, making things happen, it's worth it. And I got off the phone call today, and someone asked, "Are you having fun yet?" And I told him, I said, every day serving you all is a great day. So serving, thank you. You know, being a council member in the city of Houston is many opportunities, but today is a great opportunity again to be able to come in and say hello to y'all. I just want to be real quick. I want to say one thing. As I look over the literature, it says the AMAC believes strongly in that the inclusion of more minority-owned and women-owned businesses in airports make good business sense and reflects the communities and markets these airports serve. And as you look up the word inclusion, it's meaning to bring apart, to make people feel that they belong. And I just want to say again, and I keep saying that word wonderful, but it is a wonderful thing to be able to feel like you have a family, you have a home, someone wants you to be a part of them. And as you bring forth people to come together to provide business opportunities, it trickles down into the neighborhoods and the communities. And that's less phone calls I get to get in my office about not having a job. So it's a great time, and I thank you all for allowing me to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Davis. We have an excellent city council here in Houston that we're very proud of. I would now like to introduce to you Esther Francis, President and CEO of CBIC.
Good afternoon. Thank you all. It is such a pleasure for CBIC to be a part of this forum. I hope that you can all feel the excitement that has been generated by the conversations, the new relationships, and the shared commitment to opportunities for all. CBIC is very proud to be a sponsor of this event. Thank you, Amac, for all that you do for us. Thank you, City of Houston. Thank you to the Houston Airport System for sponsoring this economic opportunity and policy forum and creating yet another mechanism to empower small, minority, and women-owned business owners to succeed in the aviation space. CBIC was started in 2001 as a general contractor and construction management firm. We created our steel fabrication firm in 2008. For this conference, CBIC joined forces with another minority-owned company, Hallmark Group, and made the decision to be a business first-class sponsor for this AMAC conference. The challenge, however, thank you. The challenge in doing this is the perception in the community, especially among our fellow DBEs, that the reason we did this is because we made it, and that allows us to be a sponsor. This is not the case. We made this strategic decision to lead by doing. We want our community, both our fellow DBEs and our majority partners, to see that while we are yet growing, we are willing and happy to invest in the programs and organizations whose value and mission statement is to help minority businesses succeed. I thank all of our majority-owned firms, those of you who have worked with us to support and to utilize small, disadvantaged, and women-owned business owners such as myself. Through your efforts, the City of Houston, in total, recently awarded $330 million to small and minority businesses like myself. We want to thank you. We know that these are challenging economic times, and as DBEs, we need to aggressively participate to define our own future. While it is not always easy to find the resources to sponsor conferences such as this, CBIC and Hallmark Group are here to say, we believe in this and we will support it and encourage others to do the same, because we are ready to compete and team and grow together with anyone ready to do business in the greatest country on earth. I leave you with a quote from A. Randolph Phillip. At the banquet table of life, there are no reserved seats. You get what you can take, and you keep what you can hold. If you can't take anything, you don't get anything. And if you can't hold anything, you won't keep anything. But you can't take anything without organizations, especially such as Amac. Thank you, enjoy your lunch, and please allow this conference to be a momentum driver for continued growth, collaboration, and economic success.
How about that lunch? Especially the dessert, I'm told it only has 50 calories. How about that? It's value. But it's the main event. And we have a speaker for you that I'm sure you're going to enjoy. Our keynote speaker has played a key role at Southwest Airlines for 34 years. During that time, he has worn many hats. So let me give you an overview of just how many hats that is. Mr. Bob Montgomery is Southwest Airlines. He represents his company with passion and dedication. I have had the privilege of working with Bob during recent months, intensively in recent months, and I realize we are not the only airport he works with, yet he has a way of making it feel as though we are. Bob is Vice President of Airport Affairs for Southwest Airlines in Dallas, Texas. He is widely known across America as the guy to know because he is responsible for acquiring and developing all of Southwest's facilities nationwide. Very important. Additionally, he's responsible for representing Southwest to all airport operators and city governments. He works with communities across the U.S. to develop capital and operating budgets and development programs. Bob has been responsible for the acquisition, get this, the acquisition, design, and construction of more than 85% of all facilities occupied by Southwest, including all airport space, reservation centers, maintenance hangars, data centers, training centers, headquarters, and other facilities. So when you hear that he is an important man to know, believe it. Bob is a past member of the Industry Advisory Board for the Alliance for Transportation Research. Please join me in welcoming, let's put our hands together for our keynote speaker, Mr. Bob Montgomery, Southwest Airlines.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much, Mario. I'm all of a sudden feeling tired. Has anybody got a spare room I can take a nap? Guys, and Lance, I got to say that I sure enjoyed your remarks. And there's something about college, I think, that makes you try kind of crazy things. I was sharing with Lance that I also tried to be an entrepreneur, a small businessman. While working at Houston Hobby Airport, I figured out that the worst thing that a young single experiences is doing their laundry. So I thought, why not match that with a bar? And you could really have a great idea. And so I started trying to get in the bar business, and we were going to call it Suds, Spuds, and Duds. So lights behind the bar, comes off when your laundry's done. Well, our business also did not make any money. But I do have to say that you're a rank amateur if you really want to try losing money. Get in the airline business. It's crazy. Well, earlier this year, for those of you in Houston, you may recall a bit of a hubbub that was called the Free Hobby Campaign. And for those of you that were out of town and didn't get to experience that here locally, it was really something. You may know that Southwest Airlines has served Houston since 1971. It's one of our original 3 cities that we served. And we've grown from having 9 flights a day, 6 to Dallas and 3 to San Antonio, to having over 143 flights to 38 cities with connecting service to another 39 cities. And we've grown from just a few hardy Southwest warriors to over 2,800 employees that are here in Houston. Nationwide, we've got about 44,000 employees that are some of the best people in the entire world. So we have become, in that time, the largest domestic airline in the United States. We've, in essence, grown up. Well, when you grow up, sometimes you look in the mirror and you say, well, okay, what do I do next? And So it became time for us to do some new things. Well, what new things? Well, like any of you do in your businesses, we sat back and we took stock of what we've got. We got out the big chief tablet, and we put assets, we put liabilities. And on the asset side, well, we had a great brand, the Southwest Airlines brand that is known nationwide. We have the largest fleet of 737 aircraft in the world, about 700 aircraft strong. We had the best employees by any measure, and we got a great route network with about 100 cities nationwide when you include AirTran, who we just bought. And speaking of that, with that merger with AirTran, we got to pick up two, in addition to a lot of other great things, we got to pick up two great things: Atlanta service, which we never had, and international service. Well, these international destinations really piqued our curiosity, and it became very obvious that it was time for little old Southwest Airlines to go across the borders of the United States. So then it became, okay, well, where do you fly? Frankly, my suggestion of China and Asia was laughed at. Shamu has to take an unscheduled stop in the middle of the Pacific. That's not a good thing. Likewise, when I then said, my wife loves to go to Italy. Why don't we go to Italy? And somebody told me that, well, we'd have to take a fuel stop in Reykjavik, Iceland, and it's much too cold there, and no local passengers actually fly to Reykjavik. So there weren't many at the poles. I always wanted to go to the South Pole and the North Pole. So we pulled out a map, and we got a string the size of the stage length of a 737 aircraft. We went to each of our cities, and we did this. And it became quickly obvious that there were really just two options for us. There was Canada and there was Latin America. And Latin America I'll just use as code for Mexico, the Caribbean, Central America, and the northern quarter or so of South America. I'll just save time and just call it Latin America. So we got pretty excited about that, and then we said, well, okay, if we want to go to Latin America, where should we do it from? Well, again, we went to our big chief tablet, and we saw that one of our strengths was some of our larger cities, where we can feed service in with connecting passengers, and we have a strong local base that could use the service. And since Houston is our 6th largest city on our entire network, and it's so close to our hearts, being an original city and being in our home state of Texas, we decided, well, there is potential there. Then we started looking at the marketplace, and we saw that out of 54 destinations that are served in Latin America from Houston, 51 of those are monopoly routes with only one carrier serving them. And we looked and we saw that Latin America had some of the highest airfares in the entire country here in Houston. Now, Southwest Airlines has made hay over the years with a little thing called the Southwest effect. And it's, as you all know it's the elasticity of demand, and it works in a way that says, I lower fares and more people can fly. Go figure. Lower fares, more people can fly. So we have experienced in location after location, bringing fares down and expanding the marketplace. Well, we looked at our big chief tablet and we did our little calculation on what we might be able to do out of Houston, and we figured very quickly that we could save passengers over $300 million annually if we were to offer service from Houston to international destinations. So we heard something in the background. We thought it's opportunity knocking. But there's one major flaw in the theory, and that is that flying international requires cooperation with customs and border protection. You have to go through customs when you come back into the country. And Houston Hobby did not have a federal inspection service. It didn't have customs for our customers to go through. So we worked with the city of Houston, with Mario and with his team, and the mayor's office in order to determine if we could build and if it was feasible to build international facilities at Houston Hobby. Well, we ran into a little bit of resistance, to put it lightly. The incumbent carrier that was serving the routes, like all companies that enjoy a monopoly, are not very happy about losing that monopoly. So they did everything that they could to ensure that that little seedling of an idea never sprouted up into a real plant. But the employees of Southwest Airlines deployed. And they did incredible things here in the city of Houston and told every single person that they could find about the advantages of Southwest Airlines flying international out of Houston Hobby. And they wrote in. Our customers wrote in. I think there are several city council members here. I think that they could testify to the fact that their inboxes were deluged, their phones were tied up, and as I understand it, a ratio of about 10 to 1 supported freeing Hobby and offering international service. But still, there was resistance. It was still difficult because of the entrenched incumbency here. So Southwest Airlines stepped up and de-risked the project. I was with our chairman when he was testifying before City Council, and someone asked him a question, and he said, well, we'll just pay for it, $100 million. At that point, I gasped. I said, oh, really? But he's laid down the challenge. He de-risked the project and offered for us to undertake the construction ourselves. And upon hearing the facts of the case, upon understanding what the offer was that Southwest Airlines was putting on the table, and after hearing from all of the citizens and all of our employees, the council unanimously agreed to free Hobby and to allow us to proceed. Well, I've got an old mentor in the airline business. He's fond of saying, well, you've got the easy part done. You've said it. And truly, we had done the easy part. We had said it. Now we have to do it, and we have to build it. Well, what's going to be built? We're going to build 5 international gates. We're going to expand the security checkpoint so that waiting in line is something of the past. We're going to add additional concessions. We're going to add a federal inspection service station, a customs facility so that you can come through. There's going to be some enabling projects that have to happen because there are things in the way, like our ticket counter and like the city's offices, that have to be moved in order to put the new concourse in its place. Hobby has always had, historically, a shortage of parking. So there's this latent demand to create a parking garage anyway. So now we're going to try to include that so as emplanements grow, we'll have sufficient places for people to park. What's it going to cost? Well, at the very beginning, we just kind of looked at things and said, oh, $100 million, we think that's going to be it. Of course, when you give an estimate off the back of an envelope, particularly if it's my envelope, it's usually off. And this one is, it's going to cost more than the $100 million. I don't think we're prepared to say how much more. We're still working through all that and doing a little bit of value engineering, but it'll be a little bit higher. The roadway and the garage that go along with it, if we add those up, I think we can expect at least $200 million to be spent at Houston Hobby, whether that's a city project, whether it's a Southwest project, or how we decide to approach it. So what has been done so far with this project? It was May when Hobby was freed. Many things had to be done before we could actually step up and construct anything. Part of that was negotiating a new use and lease agreement with the city of Houston. I don't think any of you would want to spend $100 million off of old agreements. You want the new agreements to reflect your investment, and just like anybody else, we wanted to do that. It's a very ambitious time frame to negotiate these agreements, but we've been working with Mario and his entire team to get that done, and we're very confident that we're going to get it done very, very quickly. We had to negotiate a project development agreement to talk about who gets to say what in this various project, establish the rules, decide who gets to say what looks like what. Had to decide exactly where it was going to be built and validate all of the decisions in the past. So we've got that done. We had to create a team to build this. And we've done that. Randy Gillespie, who works in the Airport Affairs Department at Southwest, is leading this project, along with Linda Macy, who represents Southwest directly to the Houston Department of Aviation. We have a couple of people that worked on a Dallas project with us who had an enormous amount of success. Bill Manning and Denise McElroy, who are heading up the construction effort for us. We've just announced the selection of Corrigan Associates as the architect of record. So they are just now starting to pull a team together and to get started doing this. And also, just this last week, we announced that KGB Texas is going to be working with us on the PR challenges that we've got. So we've got a good initial team. There are 2 other primary team members that still have to be selected. And one is very pertinent to this body and to this organization. And I just call them an outreach firm, a firm that can help us navigate the waters of the minority, women-owned, disadvantaged business enterprises to help us be a true success in this area. And I want to talk about that a bit more here in just a minute. And we have to hire a general contractor to actually build the facility. Both of the RFQs for these will be out within the next 30 days, and we hope to select both the CM at risk and the outreach firm by the end of January of this year, and then we'll really get going. Now, before talking more about the MWBE challenge that Southwest Airlines has and that we readily embrace, I want to talk a bit more about the whys of the project. And not the why of why Houston or why international, but why have Southwest Airlines build the project? Well, it all comes down to costs. All of it comes down to costs. We don't want to make the mistake that Lance's business made and not calculate the costs correctly. We want to keep them under control, and my business too. By that way, Lance, it's not just you. In many airports around the country, Southwest Airlines is proving and establishing that the private sector can bring delivery methods to construction that saves enormous amounts of money. Recently, we've built a $70 million terminal expansion in Islip, New York, a $45 million concourse expansion for the city of Philadelphia, a $25 million baggage system in Las Vegas, a $35 million baggage system for Fort Lauderdale. We've agreed to build a $350 million renovation of Terminal 1 at Los Angeles International Airport. And of course, our signature project is doing the $519 million renovation and reconstruction of Dallas Love Field. And that's not to mention the $800 million Chicago Midway reconstruction that finished here not too long ago, where we were the lead player in that reconstruction, or the $600 million BWI expansion. If you've been to either of those airports, I think that you'll agree that life has changed there, and it is much, much better than it's been in the past. Well, why is it cheaper for the private sector to deliver as opposed to the public sector? I can tell you that it is not because the public sector is stupid. They have very capable, very devoted people in the public sector that we owe an awful lot to. But it is more expensive because of we, the people. We tell our representatives in government to create processes. And we have saddled them with an enormous number of processes so that things can't be done quickly and efficiently. They have to comply with the process. Now, when you're building something, building and construction is a discipline that requires action and decision, not processes. To the extent that you don't give answers and you don't move and move quickly, it causes time, and time is money. All of these projects that I talked about would have been anywhere from 25 to 50% more expensive had the public sector done the same thing that we did. In Dallas, the one I'm most familiar with, the city of Dallas estimated that it would take them 3 years longer to deliver the finished product and $200 to $250 million more than what we did, a savings of about, with us doing it, of about 50%. So we can bring decisions and consistency to the project. We can line the players up and create teams that can act, and they can act quickly, and they can act the same each and every time and get the job done. Now, of course, it's easy to stand up here and diss all of the processes that government has to go through. But government has a very, very important role. And one of the important roles that they undertake is the very same reason that this organization exists. We all know that the strong are able to stomp on the weak. We know that in business, there get to be insiders, and then there get to be outsiders. And it is very difficult for the outsiders to break in to be part of the club and to get the work that needs to be done. And so we have tasked government to look beyond all of our business interests and to try to advance the needs of the minority community, of the women-owned business community, and of the disadvantaged business community. It is a very legitimate thing to do, and they need to do it. We as a country need it. As a society, we need it. It's much like equipping people to go from the minor leagues to the major leagues and play in a whole different ball game. Well, private sector delivery methods don't need to ignore that particular process and that particular need. I'm happy to say that in Dallas, I'm very, very proud of our accomplishment with the Dallas Love Field project. I can go on and on about various projects, but I just want to focus on Dallas. We had a goal of 26% MWBE participation. Right now, and we're still 2.5 years, Seth, I got to count my time, 2 years. We're 2 years away from completion. We've achieved a 38% participation so far with MWBE. It's something I'm very, very proud of. Well, how have we done this? Well, at the beginning, we had to decide that it was the right thing to do. And we looked at best practices by a lot of firms, and what we saw in the MWBE arena, frankly, disappointed us, because we saw that many private developers simply looked at this as a numbers game. I've got to hit the numbers. I've got to get a quota, that type of thing. And we decided that we wanted to go deeper than that, and we wanted to ask, what is the purpose of the MWDBE programs in this nation? And as we talked to people in government, as we talked to people who own businesses, they told us that the real goal of these is to grow businesses. It is to equip the people on the outside to compete on the inside, to develop the skills that they need to have in order to run successful businesses. So we hired a firm in Dallas to help us, with the PR and the MWDBE process, and we teamed them with our architectural team and with our construction team. Our CM at risk there is Hensel Phelps Company that's done a fantastic job for us. We tasked them with providing the outreach and with the training. So they got together and they started holding workshops for all kinds of small businesses, trying to teach them, how do you bid work? How do you bid work in an effective manner that you can stand behind? How do you bill your work? How do you do the paperwork? How do you work with a large company that has schedules to keep? How do you manage your employees? How do you deliver on time? How do you avoid unnecessary changes? And a myriad of other subjects that they were training small businesses in to grow their capacity, not to hit numbers. Frankly, we don't care about the numbers. We want to do what's right, and we want to advance small businesses that are looking for a way to succeed. We want partners that we can treat like our employees and that are seen just like our employees. We want them to treat their people right. We want them to deliver on time. We want them to deliver quality. We want them to develop value. So at Southwest Airlines, we're not all for diversity's sake alone. We want it for the strength that it gives us. In Scripture it says that a threefold cord is not easily broken. It's not. Diversity gives us strength. It allows us to do things that we couldn't do otherwise. We want it for the creativity that diversity brings to the table. Not everybody thinks like Bob Montgomery. Thank God. We need new people with new perspectives, new approaches, and new ideas to meet the needs of today. We want diversity because it reflects who we are as a nation. We want it because it reflects our customers. If you go on board any Southwest Airlines airplane and look around, you don't see one kind of person sitting on our airplanes. It's the diversity of America that is sitting on our airplanes. We want it because it allows us to fulfill one of our core values, to have a servant's heart, and growing quality firms and serving people in that way, helping them to become better, allows us to serve. So, how do you get involved in something like the Houston International Terminal? Well, we have a website. I did not bring a PowerPoint because I didn't think you'd want a PowerPoint. But the website, or the email actually, is HoustonExpansion@WNCO.com. That's HoustonExpansion@WNCO.com. And if you will send your expression of interest along with a definition of what it is you do. I mean, you may be a janitorial company. You may be a subcontractor with carpentry. You may be an electrician. It could be anything. Send that to HoustonExpansion@WNCO.com, and we will capture your information and ensure that you get into the right place. As soon as we have our outreach firm hired, which we anticipate by mid-January of this year, we're going to task them with hitting the streets here in Houston and starting to talk to and develop the things we need to do based on the needs of the community, not based on some presupposed idea that I have. We'll have the CM at risk on hand, and at that point, we'll really be able to start going. Tomorrow, we're going to have one of our people from purchasing, Pam Glover, will be here for the networking session, and you can talk to her and also give her your information. In terms of time frames, we're trying to open this thing by mid-2015, so we got to work backward from there. If you are an outreach firm and you have not contacted us yet, please send some information into Houston Expansion at WNCO.com, and that will ensure that you get on the list. If you're a CM at risk that is capable of handling a $100 to $150 million project, go on there, send us an email, and we will ensure that you get consideration as we're going forward. If you've got any other discipline, go ahead and go to the website, and we'll get that information to our outreach firm in order to get things going. So be sure and stay in touch with the mayor's office. We are keeping them abreast of everything that we're doing and the Houston airport system. If you are not in the construction arena, don't worry about it, because there's something for you too. We plan on enplaning more than 1 million passengers a year here in Houston going to international destinations. Those people largely come here with a lot of money to spend. And so that means that all of the ancillary businesses all around South Houston and all throughout Houston, because it's such a great, diverse community, there's a lot of places people want to go, a lot of things they want to see. That's going to create jobs. That's going to create jobs in hotels, in transportation, in rent cars, in shops, in movie theaters, and everything that you can imagine, kind of from soup to nuts. So we think that it's a great, great story. So I would really like to thank the City of Houston, all of the council members, the mayor's office, the Houston Department of Aviation for being such great partners with us. We hope that we can fulfill the vision of this organization, and that we can use our project to find new partners and create new partners and new capacity to make this even a greater city than it is today. Thank you very, very much.
I just wanted to thank everyone again for allowing me to serve as your MC today. I've had a great time and want to congratulate all of you on all of the work you do in your cities, your respective cities, and on behalf of small businesses. Hope you enjoy the rest of your visit here in Houston. And I would now like to bring up for our closing remarks, Sean Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Gina, and thanks for a great job as MC. Let's give Gina a big round of applause and thank her. Thank you, Gina. I know you all take away from this forum many positive thoughts, hopefully some new friendships, and even new ways of seeking opportunities. It is vitally important that the best practices be shared with each other. The 21st century will see technology and communication tools we can hardly imagine. It will be airports that will be the critical link in the global market. While we can communicate long distance in several ways, there is nothing that creates partnerships like face-to-face communication. There was no way to create this Amac family without face-to-face communication. Amac is going to be a big part of our expanding industry, and we look forward to continued participation from the airlines. Our cities are becoming truly diverse, our workplace diverse all the time. But we must never take for granted that because cities and workforce are diverse, so will the opportunities to smaller businesses be diverse. I applaud the hosts and planners of this forum. You're clearly a nonstop, first-class mission of inclusiveness, and the aviation industry will benefit in every city, every airport, because of your vision. Thank you very much.